Hello everyone and welcome to BearNews as we take a look at the latest developments from Three Kingdoms Total War. Now, to bring everyone up to date, Three Kingdoms Total War was a return to the historic gaming roots of Creative Assembly and the Total War franchise. Released in May of 2019, the game promised to cover the warring state period within China, allowing players to take control of some of the legendary and historic characters of the War of the Three Kingdoms. The game was set to act as a branching step, bringing together the two fan bases that have developed within the Total War franchise. Historic gamers will have access to Records mode, allowing them to play the game in a historic manner, whereas fantasy gamers were able to play the game in Romance mode, taking on the more legendary aspects of this period of time. The game released well, bringing many gamers back to the Total War franchise, in particular those of the historic gaming market. What followed was the release of multiple DLC and FLC for the game to expand upon its base roster of lords, as well as introducing new mechanics and features to the game at large, allowing players to start the game at different periods in time and undergo certain historic events as the game progressed. The latest of which being Fates Divided. Starting in the year 200 of the Common Era, the game focused on the war between Cao Cao and Yuan Shao as they waged battle in the northern extent of the map, with other DLCs introducing new factions and new ways to play in the southern and central parts of China. The game has gradually grown over the past 2 years to incorporate a large amount of diversity even within this historical game. However, it is following the introduction of this Fates Divided DLC that CA has gone on to announce that they will no longer be supporting the Three Kingdoms Total War game in the future. Now, though as I have said, the Three Kingdoms Fates Divided DLC has expanded the roster in the north, if we have a look at the dev blog back in July of 2020, we can see the suggestion of expansion DLC that will focus on building out the north of the map. Arguably, you can say that the DLC has expanded the north of the map, though we do not see an extension beyond the current system. This is something that has been questioned on various social media, as a suggestion that CA has in fact scrapped this plan, and this northern expansion of the map may in fact be coming into play with a separate development within the Three Kingdoms Total War franchise. And it is this secondary aspect of their announcement that has truly set the Total War community alight. Not only will Three Kingdoms Total War no longer be supported by the development team, in fact they will be introducing a brand new Three Kingdoms Total War title. But this information was not easy to come by. Taking a look at the Moving from Total War Three Kingdoms dev update released by CA on their official Total War YouTube channel, we begin by learning about some quite interesting information and something I genuinely enjoy to hear about, and that is how players have been going about their campaigns and the various statistics around the sheer war they have unleashed upon the map. The video comes in 2 phases, with the first phase focusing on what the community has done with the game and what the developers have brought to the game itself, with the second section then focusing on our update. As the video goes on, we begin to learn that the development team behind Three Kingdoms Total War has shifted their attentions away from Three Kingdoms and onto a new project based within the Three Kingdoms time period. However, none of this is particularly well explained, something that is evident by the fact that the video being released on the 27th of May 2021 had to have a comment attached to it the following day. The comment stated, "To clarify, no more DLC or patches for the existing Three Kingdoms game. However, we are working on a new game based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel. This will not connect to the first." Now, this last section is very interesting. The fact they've said that the games will not be linked does draw into question just how much of the content already bought and paid for on the original Three Kingdoms Total War will still be represented in this brand new Three Kingdoms game. Will the player be expected to repurchase DLC moving forward, given that the game will be set within the same environment? Something that I'm sure CA has long since considered, given that they must have realized going into this that this would result in a fair bit of backlash from the Total War Three Kingdoms community, which has become one of the larger Total War communities to date, not only through providing that unification of fantasy and historic gaming, but also because it introduced a new time period into the game that previously had only been represented through the use of mods. This comment was written by the official Total War YouTube channel, and so can be considered to be an official statement by the company itself. The fact that an official comment had to be made upon the video really does show how unclear the community were regarding exactly what this dev update meant. Now, I will say I do applaud CA for providing this information and attempting to be transparent in delivering information to the community in a way that is both easily accessible, being on YouTube, and available for consumption at any time. Unfortunately, we can say that this was not made as transparent as it should have been, seeing as they were in fact needed to then clarify exactly what this means. But putting that aside, we now have to look at something extremely important. Something has happened in response to this one statement that has already blown up onto multiple news sites around the world. And we get the first hints of what this is by looking at the dev update video. This video has been watched 127,827 times as of the point of my recording, and has already received 2.8 thousand likes and 6.5 thousand dislikes. The announcement by CA to drop development updates for Three Kingdoms Total War has resulted in an extremely large backlash from the Total War community. Following this trend back onto its Steam page, Three Kingdoms Total War has gone from mostly positive reviews in the past to a sudden shift towards overwhelmingly negative. This reaction can also be seen in every DLC available to the game, with most of them now reading as mostly negative, and the best of which, or at least the least damage, now sitting at mixed. The game has received its final patch, patch 1.71, introducing fixes to the campaign, battles, and UI, as well as various parts of the assembly kit. But this is set as the final one, the last update to this game. The results of which, regardless of improvements, will always be overshadowed by the sudden increase of over 3,000 negative reviews within the last 4 days. And this has resulted in a lot of questioning as to the action of review bombing within games, with many seeing this sudden shift towards overwhelmingly negative reviews as a direct result of a developer announcing changes to their development plans for a game, rather than a consideration of the game itself. So moving forward, we are left to wonder just how this new Total War Three Kingdoms game will focus. Will it lead even further into the romance mode? Will it introduce a more historic basis, or will it attempt to unify them again? Or potentially, could there be 2 games being created that focus on each of these individually? The sheer reaction of this announcement by the Total War community really does draw into question exactly how CA will respond, as they will need to do a lot to regain the trust and support of the community that they have so damaged in this one simple announcement. With groups across multiple social media reacting in a negative way, the response from CA will no doubt take a fair amount of time before they finally make it. And finally, we'll have to consider exactly how this will affect the narrative of the Total War Three Kingdoms games. Seeing as now the story will be spread across multiple ones, at what point will the new game begin and end, and just what will it focus on that could bring something new to the title that already exists? Now, we've yet to hear a continuation of this story from CA, and I will be paying close attention to see what their development blog says in regards to the introduction of the brand new Three Kingdoms Total War, particularly in regards as to whether this will be a full Three Kingdoms Total War 2, or if this will introduce new chapter-based systems as they have suggested, possibly introducing a new Three Kingdoms saga title into the Total War franchise. And of course, keeping a keen eye on any developments that may happen within Three Kingdoms Total War itself, to see whether or not there is a response by CA to the sudden actions of the Total War community, in particular regard to the community pressure that has been building up as to CA's potential consideration of fantasy over historic as time has gone by. And with CA now looking forward towards the release of Warhammer 3, exactly how will CA continue to support its historical gaming community as it focuses its attention onto the release of Warhammer 3 and the continued expansion of its DLC, map, and legendary lords as time goes by, as well as considering CA's intended expansion into the FPS genre. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think of the recent events surrounding Three Kingdoms Total War? And how do you feel about CA's consideration of the historical gaming market, as well as those of the fantasy gaming genre? What would you like to see coming up, and how do you feel about the community's response? But until then, as always, this has been Bear on BearNews, and peace out.